Welcome to Pastor Andrew's Inspirations. If you enjoy these videos, please click on the red subscribe button below and the bell for more. Welcome to our online church, a congregation made up of many from around the world. No offering is necessary. Subscribing and watching videos will keep us alive under God's watchful eyes. Today, we will be talking about biblical names starting with H, part 6. This part consists of 3 sections, and this section is section B. Hamor continued. Give your daughters to us, and take our daughters for yourselves. You shall dwell with us, and the land shall be open to you. Shechem offered Jacob and his sons any bride price they named. But the sons of Jacob answered Shechem and his father Hamor deceitfully, because he had defiled their sister Dinah. They said they would accept the offer if the men of the city agreed to be circumcised. So the men of Shechem were deceived and were circumcised. And on the 3rd day, when they were sore, 2 of the sons of Jacob and Leah, Simeon and Levi, Dinah's brothers, took their swords and came upon the city unawares, and killed all the males. They slew Hamor and his son Shechem with the sword, and took Dinah out of Shechem's house and went away. And the sons of Jacob plundered whatever was in the city and in the field, all their wealth, all their little ones, and their wives, all that was in the houses. Then Jacob said to Simeon and Levi, You have brought trouble on me by making me horrible to the inhabitants of the land, the Canaanites and the Perizzites. My numbers are few, and if they gather themselves against me and attack, I shall be destroyed, both I and my household. But they said, Should he treat our sister as a harlot? In Genesis chapter 34. When Jacob's family prepares to descend to Egypt, Genesis lists the 70 family members who went down together in Genesis chapter 46. Dinah is specifically listed in verse 15. These are the sons of Leah that she bore to Jacob in Paddan Aram, and Dinah his daughter. David Rosenfeld states that the Torah does not tell us anything about what happened to her for the remainder of her life, nor if she ever married and raised a family. Chapter 34 of the book of Genesis deals primarily with the family of Abraham and his descendants, including Dinah, her father Jacob, and her brothers. The traditional view is that Moses wrote Genesis as well as almost all the rest of the Torah, doubtlessly using varied sources, but synthesizing all of them together to give the Hebrews a written history of their ancestors. This view, which has been held for the past several thousand years, although is not openly cited in either the Hebrew or the Christian Bible, holds that Moses included the story chiefly because it happened, and he viewed it as important. It foreshadows later happenings and prophecies further along in Genesis, and the Torah dealing with the 2 violent brothers. Source-critical scholars think that Genesis combines separate literary strands and different values and concerns, and does not predate the 1st millennium BC as a unified account. Within Genesis 34 itself, they suggest 2 layers of narrative. An older account assigning the killing of Shechem to Simeon and Levi alone, and a later edition, verses 27 to 29, involving all the sons of Jacob. Kirsch contends that the narrative combines a Yahwist narrator describing a rape and an Elohist speaker describing a conquest. On the other hand, another critical scholar, Alexander Roff, adopts that the earlier authors would not have pondered assault to be desecration in and of itself, and postulates that the verb describing Dinah as defiled was added later elsewhere in the Bible. Only married or betrothed women are defiled by rape. He insisted and says that such a description reflected a late post-exilic notion that the idolatrous Gentiles are impure, and aids the ban of intermarriage and intercourse with them. Such a theoretical obsession with ethnic purity must therefore indicate a late date for Genesis in the 5th or 4th centuries BC, when the restored Jewish community in Jerusalem was comparably worried with anti-Samaritan polemics. In Roth's analysis, the abuse refers to interracial sex rather than rape. In 19th century America, Dinah became a generic name for an enslaved African woman. At the 1850 Women's Rights Convention in New York, a speech by Sojourner Truth was reported on in the New York Herald, which used the name Dinah to symbolize black womanhood as represented by Truth. In a Concord, where sex and color are socialized together in the public rights of humankind, Dinah and Burleigh and Lucretia and Frederick Douglass are all divinely of one color and one sex, and all on a perfect footing of exchange. Most assuredly, Dinah was well posted up on the rights of women, and with something of the ardor and the odor of the native Africa. She struggled for her right to vote, to hold office, to practice medicine and the law, and to wear the breeches with the best white man that walks upon God's earth. Lizzie McLeod, a slave on Tennessee plantation during the American Civil War, recalled that Union soldiers called all enslaved women Dinah. Describing her fear when the Union Army arrived, she said, "We was so scared we run under the house, and the Yankees called, 'Come out, Dinah.' Didn't call none of us anything but Dinah. They said, 'Dinah, we're fighting to free you, and Dinah, you out from under bondage. We gotta get you out.'" After the end of the war in 1865, the New York Times exhorted the newly liberated slaves to prove that they had the moral values to use their freedom effectively. Using the names Sambo and Dinah to represent male and female former slaves. "You are free, Sambo, but you must work. Be virtuous too, O Dinah." The name Dinah was subsequently used for dolls and other images of black women. The novel The Red Tent by Anita Diamant is a fictional autobiography of the biblical Dinah. In Diamant's version, Dinah falls in love with Shechem, the Canaanite prince, and goes to bed with him in preparation for marriage. Simeon and Levi, Jacob's sons, instigate the discord between Jacob and the men of the king of Shechem, out of fear for their own prosperity, even though Dinah tells them the truth. This was the biblical name starting with H, Part 6, Section B. Please stay tuned for Section C, beginning with the Humatal's story. If you like these videos, please click on the red subscribe button below and the bell for more. Adonai Nisi, the Lord is our banner. God's blessings be upon us all.